What is going on, folks? This is Mike from Techaholica, and today I want to show off my new Battlestation. I have my wall-mounted PC up here, got my 3 monitors, and a 27-inch TV hooked up to it. Now, you're probably looking at this thinking, well, that's not very pretty, and it's not a very nice-looking wall-mounting unit, but I'm still pretty happy with how it came out. And basically what I want to do is go over some things that I learned when putting this all together. So maybe if you're starting to work on your project and you're researching, hopefully something here can help you out. So I guess let's get started with how I mounted it up here in the first place. So over here, I have some 2x4s, so I spray painted black and I mounted them across the various studs on the wall. I did that because the studs didn't line up with where I wanted to place the computer, right? And I didn't want to mount the computer on using drywall screws or whatever. And I think it's a pretty neat effect too with the 2x4s running across like that. But basically it allowed me to put the computer anywhere I want to along those boards. And then for the actual board that I placed the computer on, it's just a piece of wood I spray painted black. It's from Home Depot. I picked up whatever 2x2 piece of wood they had out there. I didn't even need to cut it, right? That was perfect size for me. So when you first get started off, what you want to do is you want to remove all your components from your computer and lay them out on the board. And then you want to kind of draw out where everything should go. Now, keep in mind that I kept my video card mounted on my motherboard. I'll talk more about that in a second, but you know, what a lot of people do is they use PCI risers and they move the video card and they mount it somewhere else. So keep that in mind if you're trying to space out where everything should go. But so I guess let's get started with the motherboard first. And the motherboard's the easiest thing to do. Basically, all you have to do is lay it down, then you use a pencil and mark, you know, where the mounting holes will go. And then you use M3 screws. That's the type of screw you want to use. This is basically what it is, right? So this is an M3 screw. You could get a good look at that. And this is a longer one. So usually these are really short, but what I did is I found some ones that are longer. What this allowed me to do was, so you can see there, this is kind of the setup you want to use, where and in the back end you have your washer. You drill that through the board. I used 3 bolts here to kind of separate the motherboard from the wood, and then you put the motherboard on top right here, and you put another bolt on top to secure it. So it sits like this inside the you know, going through the wood and supporting the motherboard. And so I have a link to these screws in the description of the video, so you want to pick them up, you can. But this is kind of the setup I used, and really the motherboard took about, I don't know, not even like 10-15 minutes to put together. It was pretty simple. And then moving on down here to the various hard drives I have. So these are a little bit more difficult. With the motherboard you can kind of do on your own, but with the hard drives, you want to trace out where they're going to go. And then on the back of the hard drives there's various mounting screws, and you want to measure those out as best as possible, and you're probably gonna need some help to you know, hold steady and draw in straight lines and all that. And I did it on my own, and the measurements were off a little bit. So I tried to use 4 mounting screws per drive, and that was really difficult to do. So instead, I decided just to use 2 mounting screws, which I think is fine. I think as long as you have, you know, 2 screws, you know, across each of these, then they'll hold up pretty well, right? So that wasn't that big a deal. But if you want to use all 4 mounting screws on the back of these drives, make sure you have some help, because you're gonna need someone there to help you hold, you know, like I said, hold the drive steady and be able to, you know, measure and draw in a straight line and all that kind of stuff. All right, so now we move on to the big item here, which is the graphics card. Now this card, you can tell it's a beast. It's huge. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to use a PCIe riser and move it off the motherboard and mount it by itself, which I've seen a lot of people do before. But first of all, I only had one PCI riser, and you really can't do that because it's going to kind of flip over, and you have the fans facing down if you do it that way. So you need 2 of them. And also, I couldn't really figure out how to mount this card in the back of here, you know. And so I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just build a little bracket here, which is what I did here, which I'll hold it in place. So you can see it's just a couple of brackets. There's this one here holding up kind of the middle, and this one here holding up farther away. So it's a really good support there. And then here I just kind of put a little riser, a little hump right in the middle to keep it away from the fans a little bit, just so that you know, that the duct tape there doesn't interfere with the fans. I use duct tape because it's just like a little piece of cardboard I put in there, and then I just did the rest of the duct tape. I don't know why. I guess I should have done the whole thing, but I might do that eventually. But yeah, so this thing is so heavy that you can't just leave it sitting there, because normally what you have is you have it mounted here, and this gives us support. So without the support, it's just flopping there. So you really need to have either a bracket or use the risers, and you move it away and you mount it against the wall somehow. Maybe you could build a shelf for it or something like that. But yeah, you really need to take into consideration how you're going to mount your graphics card. I did something very similar here too with this USB. This is a USB card, 5, actually a 7-port USB card. Once again, there's something here to hold this thing in place. I just built a little bracket here to hold it. And this one isn't too bad, right? Because I only have a couple of slots in there. It doesn't need to be super strong. And these brackets I had around the house, and so that's why I used these. That's what they don't look like they fit just perfectly. Because I was kind of just using whatever I had. So this thing I just kind of, bent it into this kind of, L shape or S shape, and used it to support it. All right, so let's move on to the power supply. So this is also another big one because this guy is heavy. So you really need to take into consideration how you're going to mount this. And what I did here, so you can see past the lights, there's I basically built like little shelves with these little metal brackets right here. These little L brackets here and here and here. So it's sitting on this shelf here, and it's enclosed on these two sides, but it's not actually drilled in to it. And what I did is I kind of had this kind of twine. It's almost like a fishing line, and I used that to secure it. So the idea is not to hold, the line isn't holding it against the board or supporting it up, right? It's on the shelf, which is being supported by itself. That twine is there just to kind of keep it, just in case I accidentally bump it or something. I don't want it to fall off, right? So that's all it's doing. It's holding it there. So it doesn't need to be super tight on there. It just needs to be just enough so I don't have like an accidentally just smack it and knock it off the shelf, And once again, I have this bracket up here, which I kind of tied the twine to these things, and I duct tape it on there because I didn't know how to tie knots to this thing. That I didn't feel confident just tying regular knots, so tied my knots around in this little bracket here and duct tape them all in place. And so, like I said, that's not the prettiest baby, but it's still my baby. I still think it came out pretty nice. And one really good thing I like about this is that I basically have access to everything on my computer right in front of me. So it makes, if I want to put a new card in, a new memory. Oh, there's my animals. Hold on, I'll be right back. Alrighty, so now that's kind of the general idea of how you set up your board. And I guess one of the things I want to talk about now is why you'd want to do this. Well, first of all, if you're a better handyman than I am, you can make this look really cool. You could have some cable management over here to hide the cables. You could add colors. I've seen people do like wraps, for the board. So instead of just having one color, give you a wrap. I added these, cheesy little lights there just to make it a little colorful, but I think it's more like adding perfume to a turd. It's still basically a turd here, but at least it's a little bit shinier now. Like I said, I'm not really doing it just for the wow factor of how it looks, even though I really like how it looks. I do it because, well, now I have a lot of additional airflow in here, right? Well, the computer's sitting on the ground. I have a lot of animals, obviously, and there's fur flying everywhere. And I was always getting into my case and having to like air spray it to get rid of everything in there, all the hair and all the dust and whatnot. So at least now it's mounted, it's away from that. I think it's going to be a lot easier to maintain the computer, and also I have easy access to everything I need here, right? So if I want to add a new card, I can put it in there. Add a new RAM, it's all right here. Swapping out USB ports is really easy. I guess one thing I didn't mention earlier is that I have this guy here, this little button. So this is my power button. So once you mount your PC, you no longer have the power and reset buttons and all that kind of stuff. But this cool device, which I'll have a link to later, actually hooks up to, it goes over here like normally where your power and reset and all that kind of stuff switches go. But now I could use this to turn on and off my PC. It has the hard drive indicator and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So anyways, I was saying earlier, you have basically easy access to everything on your computer. And now it's away from the ground, so I hopefully keep it cleaner. I can keep it on, I can spray it down, I can see, exactly what's going on my computer now. So, I don't know, I kind of like that aspect of it. It's, it's really easy to get to. And then I guess the last thing over here is just my TV that I mounted right here. So, I just bought a little bracket so I could swivel my TV around. It swivels, you can move it in and out. It's not too useful when you're just like gaming or whatever at your computer. But if I'm basically I'm here in my garage, which is my man cave, and so on the opposite side over here, I have my bench, workout equipment, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, having a TV mounted up high like this, it really is more for when I'm on the other side of the garage and I want to work out, I guess, you know, like watch TV or whatever. So that's pretty nice. But anyways, that's just kind of an overview of my, you know, my little wall-mounted PC. It took me about 3 days to put this all together. I think if you're going to spend a lot of time on this and trying to make it look really nice, it'd probably take, you know, maybe closer to a week. I probably could have made it nicer, but like I said, I'm not the best handyman. I get kind of lazy and I kind of just do things just to get them done. So, but anyways, even with all that being said, I still think it came out pretty nice. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. See you later.